Alright, welcome to another update videos. Sorry it's been a little bit of a while since I've done one of these. I haven't really had the chance, but I'm in a little bit of a new forecast region, but this time it doesn't really make a difference because we're still looking at the global tropics, and this time we're doing another analysis video. And today we've got a really interesting site, to be honest, and it's a very quick rapid intensification. And this is my latest update, and I've just posted this one, but this is Major Hurricane Milton, which is from the morning rapidly intensified from 85 miles per hour is what I've been told, and to 155 miles per hour now, which is the latest recon analysis, or from the reconnaissance. I think it's NOAA Air Force planes, and currently we have it at 155 miles per hour with a pressure of 938 millibars. And this was saying east or northeast at 8 miles per hour, but now it's moving east southeast, which we'll be looking at, and it could pose a direct hit threat to the Yucatan of Mexico. Not necessarily landfall, but more so direct hit from the southern eyewall, which currently has the strongest winds as well. Alright, so one of the things I mentioned was that it was very similar to Hurricane Otis. We noticed that this pattern with these systems moving this east-northeast easterly motion, these very favourable conditions at slow speed, rapidly intensify very quickly, and it was very similar to Otis, which basically went from Category 1 to Category 5 in like about 12 hours. So almost identical here. It's been less. It was 85 miles per hour, so that's already about 70 plus mile per hour in like less than 12 hours. So this is I'm actually not sure. I think this could actually beat Otis's record for rapid intensification, but we're gonna have to see that the statistic afterwards. I'll publish it on here, so you can check my updates on here on this Twitter post, and we're currently on this satellite infrared loop. You can clearly see, if I do it very slowly, the east-south easterly movement of the system. And one of the things obviously I want to comment about, but clearly I just want to make that obvious, that it's moving east-south easterly now, and it is getting closer and closer. And this is one of these islands that I'm going to have to figure out in a second. Is under close threat as well of a direct hit, if not even a landfall, if this recovers a little bit back northeastwards by a steering flow in the background environment. And obviously the other thing very clearly is that it's got a very deep symmetrical CDO cooling, and with very tight associated banding, and the eye is not cleared fully yet, but it's warmed significantly, and it's been relatively pinhole with a very tight compact hurricane. What I think is comparable to Beryl, is what a lot of people have been saying, and Beryl obviously intensified from Category 1 to the Category 5, and so this is basically done the same thing, and is probably, by the time I probably upload this video, Category 5, so I'll make an update on that as well. But we're gonna have these sorts of like rain bands as well ahead of it. This is not really like, obviously yet in land, like it might cause some rainfall here in this region, but these sorts of predecessor rain events will be a significant factor in the overall moderate to high-end rainfall territories. Alright, so we see a little bit of a flash flooding potential currently outlined. This is the greatest flash flood risk for the next 3 days, and clearly it's definitive currently of I guess a north heavy system, so like a lot of rainfall. Remember, the predecessor rainfall event will mostly occur on the northern side, including the Tampa Bay, Orlando, Jacksonville region, and then a separate area isolated in the further south, partly due to the nature of the circulant nature of the system, where some of these rain bands will be feeding in and coming in from the, I guess we're coming in from the southwesterly side towards Miami as well. This is just new to me right now, so I've only just seen this, but currently they have an 8 to 12 foot storm surge peak storm surge forecast, but I'm pretty sure this might actually, and very likely, will become very similar to Helene, and it could become 12 plus upwards to 20 feet again. This is a very high likelihood, as it's almost guaranteed at this current point in this, before any eyewall replacement cycles or any sort of ambient background effect on the system, that it will become a Category 4 on landfall, at least minimally And so with same thing with Helene, there was a very significant storm surge. But one of the things is obviously this is going to be a very deep. This is not going to be like a big system. So it's going to increase in size, and the intensity might go down a little bit. But one of the things will be the overall pressure intensity will be quite deep. It might be more likely. The reason why a storm surge will be so high will be because of that very high intensity. So there's a very deep pressure, lower than Helene, and higher winds, and as that will occur, it will cause, I'll say, roundabout effect with lots of water taken away from one side and all taken on shore on the other side. So currently, this is the most updated I have on Milton, which so the NHC currently have it at 150 miles per hour. But one of the things is it's showing a direct landfall in the Tampa Bay area, and obviously one of the things that a lot of people know is the idea of a Phoenix hurricane, and that is one of these like hypothetical scenarios of a very intense system making landfall in this region. And so this is like a very serious threat, because this is obviously a very populated, over 2 million people in this region, so they need to take a lot of precaution. And I believe that this is considered, quote, at least one of the biggest evacuations ever seen, probably since 2017, of the Florida West Coast, and probably just in Florida landfall hurricanes anyways, because this is not seen ever. And obviously dewy sleep system like this, that's already rapidly intensified. Goodness knows how intense it will be on that landfall, and obviously no one wants to take any risks after seeing Helene, which obviously statistics are still going upwards, and we don't really, like, Helene's already caused, like, I'm pretty confident over like 70 billion in damages, so that's obviously by some AccuWeather professional reports, but this is one of the things that can cause significant damage again, so it's going to be very deadly if people don't move out and go and take the mandatory evacuation orders. Right, current ADT forecasts are, like, all analysis is all actually far behind. Even the other ADT updates are all still behind. And not all these are able to penetrate and get the deep data that we need to actually define the system properly. So these are all obviously very conservative, backwards estimates to what the actual intensity is. And there's not really anything that's actually quite anywhere near close in the imagery that we can clearly see that defines the intensity of the system at the moment. The closest interpolations are going to have to come from any sigma plus 2 readings or the NHC readings, because that's the only way. Alright, so actually this is actually, I don't know, this is mission 8 that's got all the data, and it's showing what I wasn't able to get, but now I'm able to see. I might even have to update this, because I was not able to get this data, but 933.8 millibars is being extrapolated from the system, and so we have these wind readings already at 137 knots, which is almost category 5. So the intensity I got right, but the pressure estimates I wasn't able to find, but here it is. So just looking at this data, because obviously it is very valuable data, and that clearly shows actually quite a southeast heavy based system. Well, at least it was, but now it's kind of had a tight in a what eye wall across all quadrants mainly now. But one of the things is that the winds associated with the system have all increased dramatically, and it's kind of given a rapid onset of intensity before, like, the system was able to, like, essentially, like, form its eye and become this developed. So like, it kind of went beyond its steam type development that was expected, and it's already had a higher wind speed estimates. And one of the things is, obviously, if you look at the VORC estimates and deeper analysis, those numbers are actually obviously well below, because they're not able to see this rapid intensification process as effectively. It's very clearly demonstrated with how underestimated it is. That's why recon is very, very valuable in these situations, and it's very important when you see different systems like this, that you don't expect something else out of the actual intensity. And so one of the things we can actually see here is that if we have like a 935, or even below, like 933 reading here, one of the things is we have a flight level wind of about 17 knots. So if this actually is 933 millibars, then with the flight level wind reduction, we're going to get a pressure of almost 930 millibars already. So 930 millibars, and basically 155 mile per hour, almost even 160 mile per hour is reasonable with this recon data currently. And one of the things we need to look at is the like as I mentioned about like Otis and the very favourable conditions. Very little between the higher, like between the above the 900 and below the 700 millibar pressure range in above the atmosphere. And one of the things is that it's very deep moist. No signs of any intrusions, but these intrusions are very damaging, I guess, to pinhole eye systems that have a very tight concentric vortex with a tight eyeball, and so anything like that can induce eyeball replacement cycles. So we need to be very careful, like obviously, and recognize weakening patterns, because this system currently in this moist ambient environment is not going to take like any sort of weakening trend in the current moment, based on the way that these drop zones are taking readings, and temperature inside the eye is already at 17, could even be higher now, 18, 19, 20 degrees Celsius. So I'd imagine the drying of the eye will also be extrapolated pretty equally. So we're probably seeing water vapor values around -17, -16. Actually, in the eye will not be able to see it on infrared imagery, because infrared imagery is not able to penetrate through the low level warm cloud tops and get accurate data. So that is roughly where we'll be at. And so again, very tight, compact hurricane that we've got to watch. And I'm still very baffled about how much data we're getting on how intense this is, just as you are. So I will say that my analysis kind of predicted this sort of pattern, that we would recognize a very intense system, and that I was saying yesterday actually to one of the people I was talking to, and that it would become this sort of intense, but like 5 hours from now. But like it's obviously done it much quicker, and I was going to say how I was expecting Category 5 peak almost undoubtedly, and we're seeing it now already. And one of the things also is that I give a maximum range and I give a minimum, like a range average. So like I gave them 130 minimum, 185 maximum, and an average range expectation of between around 155 mile per hour, and that's what I was expecting its peak. And obviously now one of the things we're seeing higher end sort of like actual intensity likely to occur, so towards that 185 range now than the average. And that only happened with that particularly happened with Beryl actually went above my peak range at 165 and went obviously to 180. So this is obviously a system that could intensify all the way to that peak range to 185 mile per hour. Not to induce any sort of fear or like misinformation, but I'm suggesting that this is a potential, and this is a likelihood chance based on the environmental conditions and the way it's progressing in its development, and its development rates. Obviously we've seen the rapid intensification, so this is just something that I expect currently, but obviously it can differ in the next update, but this is something important to recognise. Okay, so we'll look at the rest of the tropics now. A bit calm, quiet, not as intense talk. Remnants of Kirk, so Kirk's kind of obviously lost its tropical characteristics. We kind of see this open, exposed low with convection northerly wrapped and very sporadic high, like intensity, like likely even more intense winds on the top side of the system. It's still it's extra tropical but at hurricane strength, so at a minimum Category 1 strength. But we also have, I actually want to mention a few of these things. So the Atlantic season obviously is on fire, so we have a lot of different unusual things that are going on right now. So one of the things that's been broken this year is that the first time in ever recorded data that we have 3 hurricanes simultaneously in October, and 2 Category 5s in October, and also probably like one of the most intense Category 5s, like likely its potential in October as well, which like is really something. And obviously Milton's track is one of the rarest tracks you'll ever see in hurricane tracks. And really, 3 Category 5s in 1 year is ridiculous. Last time we saw that was in 2017 with Maria and Jose, and we saw that in 2005 with Katrina, Rita, and Wilma. So this is obviously the season is as expected in my forecast that it was to peak in October, and really it just said it all itself. It's gone well beyond, and we're looking at multiple systems that are very high intensity that are overperforming the season, and we still have the potential for Nadine. We still have the potential for Oscar Pathy, and I'm not sure yet. So this is kind of a concerning look for this hurricane season and what to expect in the future with these sort of systems. And I've always mentioned this every video, that it's just a concerning sign, because I will just show you one more time right now. So this is always what I show, and it's really just a dictator on this season. A sea surface temperature normally measurements between that data and the recognition pattern on this year is just like unbelievable. On the oceanic heat content values that are exceedingly high, record-breaking in the Gulf of Mexico, highest values ever seen. These sorts of main development region temperatures and these Gulf of Mexico temperatures are now slightly cooler, but were even warmer than that. But still, at this point, even with upwelling and all these factors, are still is like these sorts of things that all like the temperature fluctuations, like even a 7-day average, like the temperature hasn't changed that much, but they're still above average. And this overall has been above average during the winter months, and has remained like this in the tropical seasons. And the more subtropical latitudes, it's already well above average, and it could be a sign of why like these systems might even persist in much more northerly latitudes and recurvature. But also, it's a temperature flux that is very important to monitor and to see how it plays a pivotal role in the factors of the season, in conjunction with the La Nina pattern that will reduce the shear and clarity system development, because we are transitioning now into more of a La Nina phase. So it's something that I'll probably discuss more in detail when I do a little more of a research analysis and reason it better next video or future videos. Alright, just one more thing. I'm going all over the place. I just wanted to see what a HWARF forecast was for this system with the newly updated, and obviously you can see that even the HWARF is underestimating the intensity of the system. It is expecting like near Category 5 in basically tomorrow, and so this is already really underestimating the intensity of the system. So the only thing that coming close I actually think is HAFS A. Yeah, so the HAFS A is showing pretty quick and remarkable intensification, although even that is like something to question. Like, it shows a delayed peak intensity over here, but this is already likely to happen, and obviously it's showing very high numbers. It's showing numbers that I suggested, but this is just something that is a scenario now because of how well it's organised, should I say. Alright, now going back to the tropics before I get completely lost in all this. Hurricane Leslie is one of the other systems I are on the tropics. I have given my peak intensity estimates on here as well. You can see that I did say that peak intensity estimate for Hurricane Leslie, that was a while ago. This is one of its infrared imageries, peaked 100 miles per hour, 975 millibars, and this is where it's moving at. So this is clearly something I was recording also that you can check out. And currently it's on a weakening trend, low end Category 1. We have obviously Milton, so even going latest imagery showing even warmer eye, more clearer out. And now we should, this is Tropical Storm 21, which I believe should have been named Brajirat. So Tropical Storm Brajirat has formed, and I don't think it will intensify very much. And Invest 99E, which also could be named. Alright, Merida is going to be very close to the landfall region of this, and it is really small islands that I do not have the ability to name them at the moment, but these islands are going to get a direct hit, and I really wish I could name these islands to bring up more attention to it. But these islands really need to, I don't feel like they've ever really got something like this in the recent modern day of hurricanes. Like this is something that really needs to be on watch for these islands, because this is like going to be these islands and Merida might even experience the near peak intensity of this system, and that is terrifying to like. If this does what I believe, this is going to be nightmare fuel. So that I don't know how to end it here, but I'm gonna have to end it here. Right, I'll be updating you and other feeds and everything, but as for now, I'll catch you guys next time.